Should be pretty good. Get us. Okay, we are now streaming. Oh my gosh. Hey, TGIF Friday. It is like, oh my goodness. Happy Friday in Chicagoland. It is absolutely gorgeous. I have daffodils that just came up and I'm so excited. They're right in the front of my house, like by the walkway. And I'm like so excited. Laura, how you doing today? It's a beautiful day.
Doing fantastic. I can't tell you what this weather has done for me and my boyfriend. We're just ecstatic, you know. And the thing is, too, we used to get up. We go to mass every morning, and we get up so early. And now, when we leave to go to mass in the morning, there's actually light outside. So it's like a whole nother thing. But Deb, we are going to talk about joy today. Oh my gosh, what an exciting subject. And it's so funny how we came to this. I'm going to put a shout out to Leslie Jordan, and Leslie Jordan, and she sent me a blanket when I had my knee surgery, my last knee surgery. And it had all these words on there, like positive words. And I was folding it the other day and I saw joy. And I thought, what a perfect subject to talk about. We all need to have more joy in our life. So Debbie, what do you think of when you think of joy? What's joy for you?
Well, okay, we can associate the word, joy that can make you happy. Okay, joyful, right? Because it's kind of the opposite of being down.
Yeah.
But I feel like when we have things to look forward to, or we have things that we're doing, we're on that high, right? Like we have something to look forward to, like when you and I like plan a concert that we're going to go to, we have all this, so me, joy is a life event, but it could be simply just the everyday things, like watching a child, like my grandson, smile. Like I watch him giggle and it brings me joy, I also feel joy can be within how you feel and what you do on a daily basis for others, like if you can bring others joy, it can bring you joy. So that's kind of my thing. What about you, Laura? What do you think?
It's just, I was reading this thing here, and this is happiness and joy are like almost cross each other, but they're actually different. And that's sort of bring that up. Happiness is the emotion that brings birth, and you're happy, but joy is inner peace and contentment. So they're really close, but they're actually a little different. But what makes me happy is the whole idea of planning something and looking forward to doing stuff. When we were in our 20s and right out of high school and everything, we planned all those awesome parties. I mean, and that's all we did was talk about it for weeks. I think we had more fun planning the event than we did the actual event. And, and if like somebody plans a wedding, you hear them talk about it for 6 months and stuff. And then after the wedding's over, you're happy, but you're like have a little bit of a letdown. But I think the joy is planning and like just doing stuff like planning for a holiday, joy being with your family on holidays. Like you said, your grandson, he's going to be starting sports again, going to one of his games, just a joy that mine is my grandkids. I have to tell you, I mean, I got 3 of them. I got my 4th one coming any day. And they just bring me so much joy just in their smiles. And even in their hi, Nona, how are you? With their little voices. Of course, I get joy when I hear my son sing.
Oh, yes. Me too. I love listening to him.
Love it. We used to go hear him. He used to perform at bars and stuff. And my joy was looking forward to go hear him perform and watching people hear him sing and just impressed.
Right.
We'll talk about 6 benefits that we looked up about what the benefits are of joy. And the first one that it says promotes a healthier lifestyle. Don't you agree, Debbie?
Absolutely, 1,000%.
And it's so true, because when you have more joy in your life, what is it? Your serotonin goes up. Healthier. And I really agree with that for somebody that always has such bad health issues, that if I would start focusing more on the joy and doing things fun instead of what I can't do. And a lot of us get in that mode.
Mhm.
You know, you need to bring some happiness in there. Yeah, I know you have to go to doctors. I know you can't do certain things, but you can still plan fun things to do. And that's
Right.
what you have to do. And I know, oh, sorry, Debbie, my voice is going.
That's
But
okay.
I know, Debbie, when I think of, joyful, I always think of you. And I'm being very honest because you always seem to find ways to make things joyful.
Aw, thanks, Laura.
Exercise every morning. You're a great mom. You're a good grandmother. I don't want to say great grandmother, good grandma.
Yeah, not yet.
You bring so much joy to people's lives and you're a great example. And I think it's because you just appreciate all the little things that you do every day.
Well, thank you. And Lori, you're the same way though. You lift me up when I'm down. You know what I'm saying? So like we both do it for each other, but I think we do it for other people too, hopefully. I hope, right? But I think that you have to have like what is your mojo that makes you click and kind of go. And for me, I got to keep busy and I've got to keep my exercise in there, which is really important. And that will make you feel better. And I'm telling you, you could really be having a piss poor day, honest to God, guys, and you do your exercise, whatever it is, and you will feel better because that chemical that gets released. And so you're right about that, Laura. But I also think we go back to something that's so important. You and I talk about so much is that things like what we're talking about all kind of cross over, like Lori was saying. Well, it also crosses over into helping you if you're doing the things like healthier lifestyle, they'll make you more joyous. It's also going to build a stronger immune system. And I mean, we need that because as you're, going through, we just in this area, of course, we just had winter. Okay. And that was like cold season and all that kind of stuff. But there's other things that come your way that your immune system needs to be stoked for, and I think that we have to think about like, okay, if you're negative, it's going to take a toll on everything, including your health. Okay. So negativity is also the opposite of joy and happiness too. Right. So like, think about, okay, how can I get out of this slum? Maybe you need to do some positive PMA too. Like I'm telling people, I'm saying generally, not me and Laura, but like we do this already and we're doing it more of it, is read some books or associate yourself with the right stuff. As soon as we get the schedules, we're going to make some times to go to some of these like concerts, and we welcome a bunch of people to come. But you know what? We look forward to that all week long. We talk about it. We're like, we're going to be at the concert, and you know what? It could be in your family. It could be doing something else. It could be getting together, having a barbecue, whatever it is. Get the grandkids together. Go to the sporting events. But like Lori was saying, we look forward to certain things that bring us joy. So try to make those decisions to add more of that in, because
Yeah.
it's going to help you. I mean, think about it, Laura, like it's going to help fight stress and pain too. So
Yeah.
with that, I'm going to turn it to you.
And the next point was it helps you fight diseases,
Mhm.
true, because your immune system is like
Right.
it's all connected to it, and I believe it's true, being more positive and having joy. I just think of, well, when I think of joy, I don't know if you know this song, Debbie, but it's I got the joy
Joy down in my heart. Yep.
singing that all day today because I kept thinking, that's such a positive, funny song. But I'll try to find it and put it on our post. I'll try to find a thing so you guys can hear it, and so you guys could be singing it all day long. But yeah, it helps you fight this disease, and also we go into it helps fight stress and pain.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that is so true. I'm not always going referencing me, but that's all I got. I deal with a lot of pain and I deal with a lot of stress every day. And if I have to find more joy, and you know what, looking forward to doing our Zooms on Wednesdays and Fridays are a joy for me, and it's so true about fighting stress and pain. I tell you, stress could kill you.
Yeah.
Stress is so bad. There's so many things that happen to you when you're stressed out. Anything can happen. I mean, I headaches, all kinds of stuff. And so if you find something that will revert from your thinking about your pain and thinking about your stress, I'm telling you, it's gonna help you out a whole mess. You know,
Mhm.
easily. I don't know about you, Debbie, because you're a little different than me. We're all different, but if you get to that negative zone, it's like I always say, it's like you feel like you're being flushed down a toilet. So
Right.
you need something that's gonna boost you for joy. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so it's like looking at pictures of your grandkids. I do that, I look at pictures of my grandkids, or I go on Facebook and look at some of the old pictures I had on there from years ago and read some of the captions and just memories of stuff. And then it gets you out of that mood, and that's joyful. Those are joyful things. Memories are joyful, but you want to look at positive memories, not negative memories.
Right.
So going back into memories is not good if it's going to be negative. Do you have any thoughts on that, Deb?
I got one. You and I talked about this many a times. If you're a person struggling with this, which we all do from time to time, it can get worse or better. You should journal yourself and journal like and put down, like I on one side of the page, maybe some of the things that you're praying for or you're wishing for or whatever. And also on another page, all the things you should be so thankful. The thankful should really come before the prayers, but the thankfulness, okay, of all the different things. And then reread over that and say to get yourself out of that stinking thinking kind of area, because that's bad. It's not good for you. It's not helpful, And here's one more. Longevity, number 4, proves your life. When you're joyful, you tend to live longer. And it's a proven fact, okay? So why would you not want to be? Now I get it. We all have gone through stuff. You get hit with a lot of challenges, but look for a good support system. Look for the positiveness, just as we're saying over and over again, that you can actually turn around and benefit. And it also, not only longevity, but it benefits your heart. I mean, here's the thing, it says that researchers say happiest people are 22% less likely to develop heart disease. Okay, so it's got to do with all the connections of your body and how things work. And it's well beyond Lori and I's expertise, of course. We don't make this stuff up. We just kind of gather information, but think about it in common sense. People who are joyful, people who are loving. I have an example really fast I have to share because it's just crazy. I have a client who's like 85 years old, and I met her, and she's just a burst of energy, right? 85 years old. And I said, so what do you do? And she goes, well, I'm a retired nurse. And I said, well, that's wonderful. She goes, oh, but I donate my time. I help the elderly. Now, I'm sorry. Technically, that sounds like 85 is elderly, right? And I looked at her and she goes, oh, I'm so joyful. I love to help people. And every time I talk to her, I talked to her on the phone yesterday, she is a burst of joy because this is how she lives her life. So if we can capture and grab onto a couple percentages of that and try to, implement that in our own lives, the example of another person who is just joyful and they're doing things that they love, it just goes to show you that you can take another person who's just very sedentary, sitting around not doing anything, and they're not as happy and they're not, you don't feel that like radiation of joyfulness, So she cracks me up, I got to tell you.
Well,
But
I think all of us should kind of, when we get off the Zoom, anybody who's watching or whatever, kind of think of people in your life that are like this lady Debbie's talking about, people that are just so joyful. Or think about people in your past that you knew that when you think of a joyful person, you think of that person. Oh yeah, I think about, I just think about a lot of people. I was so blessed all these years to be around all these people and stuff, customers like Debbie has hers, but from years ago and stuff. And there's people at our church that we see every morning and we talk after mass, and they're like in their 80s. There's one lady that's 95 years old that drives herself to mass.
oh my goodness.
And she's always, when she's leaving, she's always got this big smile and everything. 95 years old. God bless her.
Yeah.
But, like I said, we could go through our lives complaining all the time, but we can also go through our lives and change things around a little bit,
Right. Right.
You know, we already talked about all this, but the last point that you have here, it strengthens your body and your mind. So we were just talking about it, that about all these people and everything, and it's so true. You know, we talked about longevity, we talked about stress, we talked about your heart, we talked about all that, and that is all a part of your body. But I'm going to tell you something, Debbie. I was listening today to, I was on YouTube listening to some, YouTubes about joy, and there was this lady on there. She was fantastic, and she was talking about ways to bring joy in your life. Okay, like we always like to plan things, and we got so excited about planning our parties. I mean, our parties were like a month away. We talked about it for so long, and you plan a wedding, you talk about that for a long time, and just the joy of all these different events, even first communions, all kinds of events, right? Especially women love to plan. So this lady was talking about, find one thing that you could do every day. And you do it every day. It could be like reading a book for 10 minutes. It could be exercising. I go to church every morning, or just anything that you're going to do consistently every day, because that will bring you, it has to be something that's going to bring you joy, because that's going to be something that's going to keep you on that path of being joy every day. Be joyful every day. Then she said, pick out something that you're going to do once a week, okay? That you're going to do it, not necessarily the same time every week, but you're going to do it once a week and stick to it, something joyful. And it doesn't have to be something huge, okay? It could just be something simple. All right, then she said, do something that you could do once a month. It could be a special dinner out, plan an event with friends. I've heard of friends getting together and say, we're going to meet once a month, we're going to meet here and stuff. Something that you're going to be looking forward to. These are all things to look forward to. And then lastly, plan something you're going to do once a year, whether it's a vacation, or you're going to go visit somebody, or you're going to use a reunion at your family reunion. And then write all these things down. Put dates to these things, and start off there and see if that helps you with, and I think it would, more of a joyful path. Debbie, what's your thoughts on all that?
You just totally nailed it with think about it. If you use the journal or a spiral notebook, whatever, use that, set your goals. It's actually really, really important, because you're looking at little things along the way, to look forward to, like you're saying. Because I can totally, when my daughter got married last year, it was a letdown afterwards. It was oh, I was so bummed, all the preparations and all the fun, you know what I mean? It was almost like you had this little depression, but then you got to look at, okay, what's next? What can you do next? And I think that if we can continue to do that, and you know what, Lori, I keep saying I just was away for a week. I read 3 books. That is really cool. But now it's hard for me sometimes to get it in. So I have to actually set some goals, or do better time management to find my 10 minutes or whatever. Because if you read out of a book and it's a good, joyful, good story, it's going to make you feel better. That's a great way to kind of do our me time, because we all need me time. We all need to have that. And I love how you said that. I love that YouTube that you watched. I think that's so cool. Everything, it just wraps around in one big circle. Everything, all these different subjects that we always come up with, they're all one big package,
And I was talking to my boyfriend around it, because what would happen is life gets busy. Right. Forget about these things, and you say, and you're like, okay, we like to gamble. Okay. So we said, we always say, yeah, we're going to go to the casino, but we never say when we're going to go. And so that when never happens, you know what I mean? Or we ends up being, going to the show, or going out for dinner, or, and we really need to do these things, because life is so difficult. We get so busy, But I know, Debbie, you're so good about doing stuff and writing stuff in your book and your calendar. I'm getting better, but I think that's really a great thing, you know? And, you know, put in it, you know, like some of you know is getting married, you're gonna go to that wedding, put it in your calendar. Because that gives you a sense of, you know, that's what you're gonna be doing and you know you're gonna look forward to it. Thing. And tell me if I'm wrong, Debbie. You think that this would help a lot of women think about maybe losing some weight? Yeah, they say, oh, I want to lose some weight before you go do that. Maybe they'll say, oh, you know what? Because I know I'm going to be going out to dinner, you know, this month on a certain date. We're going to go to this place. I'm going to get a new outfit, you know, or, you know, and just stuff like that, you know. You know, you start thinking about all that stuff. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, here's a good one. I'm really good with when I know, like, say you got a wedding coming up and you're like, all right, I want to wear that dress that fits a certain way. So I want to make sure, you know, I agree. I agree. It's a goal setting situation. I think, you know, like if you're being more organized, and I think there's less stress if you're more organized about what you got going, which will give you more opportunity to be more joyful because of the fact that you don't feel overwhelmed then. So if you keep organized, and these are the things that we keep talking about over and over, like I was just saying a second ago, like I feel like they all complement each other. And the whole big message, and you nailed it so much, Lori, it's like a better quality of life. Okay. So our whole thing, and it's not too late to change habits. Okay. Habits are hard to break. Okay. But you have the ability to change them. There's no doubt about it. You have the ability. So, you know.
So, and the thing is too, you know, with, I don't work, but you know, people that are working and stuff like that, you have to do all this structure stuff in your job. You know, you kind of end up falling off when you get home, you're like, you're too tired, you don't want to do something, and all that. But I'm telling you, if you put something on the calendar that you're gonna do every day, or you're gonna do once a week or once a month, it's not gonna take long, but it's also gonna take pressure off of you to think about what you're gonna do on your downtime. Have you ever, anybody out there have ever, weekend came and you're like, you didn't plan anything and you're like trying to think of what to do, and so instead you just lay in bed all day and watch TV, and then you sit there and feel like you were useless because you could have done so many things. But if you planned ahead that you were going to do something on that day and you wrote it down, you don't have to think about it.
Right.
You think about that, right? I mean, there's
You have more, right. You have more spring in your step, and you have more, you're busier, and maybe being busy, you know what I mean? And then it's occupying your time, but then you're also at the same time, you're doing different things. It's just, you know, it's what we're here for. You know, we're here to lift up others and have fun, enjoy life, and live life to the fullest, right? Not sit there and let it slip away, you know? So.
And I'm just going to say a couple more things, and we're going to say goodbye because we're on time, but
Yeah.
It says here, set a goal outside your comfort zone. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Make room for a passion.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to, are you an artist, or have you painted, you used to paint when you were younger? Paint, draw. You know, there's just so much you could do. Look for meaning in what you're doing. You know, think of a small picture. Just don't look at the huge picture, a small picture. Because you know what? You have to become the best version of yourself.
Absolutely.
Time.
Absolutely.
Well, do you think of anything else?
I really can't. I think you actually nailed it all the way around, you know? So I think that our takeaways should be too that soul search, guys, soul search. The weekend's coming up. Try to think of what you can do to be more joyous, you know, set a goal. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, so one day at a time, but you can do this. You can do this.
Right. And you know what? If you could, if you want to write anything in the comments of things that you do, we like to, you know, have it on there. It'd be interesting to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Deb? Trying to get more followers here, you know, so please ask your friends and family to join our page. And, you know, don't forget, we have a YouTube page with all our videos on there for the health and wellness of you. That's all you got to type into YouTube. But yeah, our goal is to get over 1,000, and we need you to help us do that. So
So
Anything-
with that, Laura, I think we should close out because we're getting a hit shorter on time here. But honestly, everybody have a fantastic weekend and do share us. And definitely, we love to keep it. You know us, we keep it all positive, no negative, no political stuff. And we love it. Okay. So with that, Laura, you want to close us out?
Okay, everybody, like Debbie said, have a great weekend. We love all of you. We love anybody who wants to give us new subjects to talk about. But with that, I'm Lori.
I'm Debbie.
We're friends helping friends. God bless all of you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye bye.